So many messages being like, "So where are you? Like, can you give us some information?" Luckily, we had a lot of people find us. And then the mic broke. And
Oh,
that first, it was like truly such a first trial run. We probably had about 100 people just
I
come
mean,
out.
that's
Like,
significant, even 100.
totally. So
Yeah.
enough to make you feel bad about like, shoot, we really should have been more prepared. I really should have had a working microphone. Like, I
Yeah.
really should have told people where exactly to come. We're getting calls from all our friends like, hey, like, where are you? Like, there's like probably like 2,000 people here right now. Like, you need to get here. And we're just like, yeah, it was a whole thing. But that night was so fun. It was so crazy. It was awesome to see this thing created at the lake.
Yeah, how many people do you think were there? Like 1,200 or?
Well, we put we had this photo that our friend took behind us.
Welcome back to the Spotlight Podcast, a podcast where I have creatives and other individuals that work on things like music or other creative things. Today I have a very, very cool friend of mine, Dane, who's working on not only his own project, Tanner Dane, but he's in a really cool band called Hollyy. And I figured I'd take this opportunity to have him talk about kind of the start of what he's been doing with his band and his project, and give maybe a little bit of insight on how the Chicago music scene is and what's going on around town. And we've known each other for 6 years, I believe, at this point. We met back at a So Far Sound show, so I've really kind of seen that evolution over this time. But he's got even more, because that's about how long ago I've so I figured I'd have him share all that information. If you guys stay tuned for the end, you'll be lucky enough to get a little performance, a one-off performance. Whoa. Thanks for coming on the podcast. Appreciate you being here, dude.
Thanks for having me. For those who don't know, me and Max have been trying to do this for a very long time. So this is
it's a long time in the making.
Historical day for us. Yeah, good to be here.
But yeah, I wanted to kind of start from the top with Hollyy, because like I said, that was where we met. Can you just let me know what Hollyy is. One other thing too, I feel like I've been reading in fine print lately, or maybe you told me this. Hollyy started as a joke, kind of a joke band, and I don't know if I read that online somewhere, or maybe you told me this in the past, and then now you're working on Tanner Dane. So yeah, just let's start with Hollyy. What is Hollyy? When did it begin?
What a segue. Holly's a joke. No, I think
Holly's a very good band right now.
You brought that up, and you're like the third person to bring something similar to this up. I think what that comes from is, just to get into this real quick, we play a show every year called Holidays to play into, it was sort of a way to just sort of play into our name and like make a big show in December. And we're like, all right, haha, like we're Hollyy. Holly's very Christmas-like in terms of the name and the garland that gets put up, all that. And so we're like, let's lean into this and like make a thing out of it. And because of that, it was sort of comic relief. It was sort of a joke, but it also very quickly became like, oh snap, like we actually are doing these rather large shows now. We went Sleeping Village, and then it went to Lincoln Hall, and then we just did Talia Hall. And so it's like, well, all we meant by that is like, this was supposed to just be like this local tiny little showcase. What's going on?
Okay, so I'm not making up. That was something I actually read in fine print.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the band itself, have you know, is not a joke.
The band itself, I'm just going to be brutally honest, is probably one of my favorite bands. And this is not just because you and I are friends. This is because of my own biases on this. You guys are great. I think if you walk around Chicago and someone else knows them, they're going to tell you the exact same thing. I feel very lucky that I got to see you guys recently headline Talia Hall.
Yeah,
that is, oh my God, dude, I still can't get over that. It's really cool, because I've literally, since I met you like 6 years ago, we've been kind of like trudging through like the whole social media thing, and just I've seen you evolve and all that. And I guess before I get too far into it, let me know, who's in Hollyy? What does Hollyy mean to you? What is Hollyy?
Yeah, Hollyy started. It's an offshoot of like bands that have been in place since just a ridiculously long amount of time. And I'll make this story short and sweet. Holly basically comes from, so I've been playing in a band with my neighborhood best friends, and my sister was even in the band back in the day as the original drummer. But like we grew up on a block in a suburb called Elgin, Illinois, and we just happened to be next to like all of our best friends because everyone was the same age. We all happened to pick up or get like our first instruments one year around the same time, and we just sort of like started to teach each other chords, teach each other like beats, teach each other or like show each other the music we've been listening to. I always joke that I had like 75-year-old 13-year-old friends that were like listening to incredible like Stax Records, Motown, Chess Records, like all this really great old soul music mixed with classic rock, mixed with just like they were very like sophisticated music people from a young age.
Yeah.
And I was always younger than them, so like I just got to sort of go to grad school from an early age and get that like all that music, you know, woven into me early. And it was very like foundational to what we started to make because we basically have just always loved mixing old soul music with like just alternative rock and a lot of genres, to be honest. But it's always comes back to just a foundational love of like old soul tunes. And so that became our high school band, and then we played through like early college, and then we sort of split, and we ended up becoming another band when we all moved to Chicago for a brief couple of months. But we had a blast playing, you know, some open mics and some bars around town, and we were called WC and the Fam for those 9 months. And yeah, as I told you, the ridiculous thing that could be an entire podcast is explaining that band, but WC stood for Weed Cat. And then, yeah, it was so silly. And like, I think we weren't embarrassed. We just like go up there and we'd be like, we're WC and the Fam. And then everyone would be like, they like look at each other like, what? Also, it really, like, something I think we've all learned over the years is like, it actually doesn't matter what your band name is.
Yeah.
Like, you just get up there and you let the tune speak, and then you're like, okay, you're called. It's like the Dave Grohl joke where he's like, dude, we're called the Foo Fighters. Like, what the hell is that? You know. So, anyways, we were kind of a band for a short amount of time in the grand scheme of things, and then we split. 3 of us ended up forming Hollyy. And so that was myself, our original guitar player, Brandon, and our drummer, Rafi. And we quickly picked up some more pieces through other friends. And so my friend from college, Pete, came in and he started to play the keys. We had to outsource for the first time in our lives to like find a bass player because we were so used to having a massive network of friends that were just like in and out and substituting in for different instruments, and we're always close by and would love to hop in and play with our group. But we finally reached the point where like, man, everyone's either moved away or like has just like way too busy and can't do the band thing anymore. Like, so we had to join one of those like silly Facebook groups and like just be like, hey, we're looking for a bass player basically. And it worked. And we found Dom. Dom Zyra is our bass player in Hollyy, and he is the most unreal bassist. He is a great dude. He's become an incredible friend over the last almost decade now. So it's like, yeah. So very, very lucky score to find that. And then let's see. We have a horn section. Blaze Cermak is our trumpet player. I've known Blaze for many years because he also grew up in my hometown, and he was playing the ska scene back in the day. So he's always been on the trumpet. And then Nate France, which I also let you know, we met Nate the same night that we met Max at a So Far show. Yeah, he came up to us. He was playing with this guy, Rich Robbins, who's also an incredible Chicago artist, and he was just like, hey, like, your music rocks. Like, I really hear some horns on this. Have you ever thought about that? And we geeked because like we recorded a lot of our music with horns. We just never played live. So to have a really fantastic sax player come up to us afterwards and basically be like, and I'm ready to join your band. That's like the stuff that never happens. So we're just like, oh, yeah, of course. And he's been with us ever since, and he's amazing. So.
Your band just sounds so good with him added in. It's like, he really definitely kills it out there.
Yeah. I just have to say, there's this funny thing that just happened the other day. We were having like, with the holidays, we were like, had a family holiday dinner, and like my dad has had this thing over the last like year because Nate, our sax player, has kind of like, he had a pretty top heavy half of the year with his schedule, and we were playing so many shows and he wasn't at like any of them, and like every show my dad would come up and be like, so like is Nate coming? And we'd just be like, nah, he's not with us tonight. And he just like so visibly was so bummed and be like, okay. And then like after the show, like he just like was still bummed. And then like when Nate started to, his schedule cleared, and we've also played all these shows now in the second half of the year, and he's been there. It's like he can't stop talking about him. So the joke now is as his son, I'm no Nate. I think my dad longs for a son like Nate. So.
Yeah, dude, it's yeah, it really is. It really is crazy. Because I mean, for me, watching you guys play that whole Talia Hall show was just a phenomenal experience for me. That was really just like I think I already said it, but just watching you guys have that and have this fully packed Talia Hall, people up in the risers, like having everyone watch was just you guys sounded really. The performance was great.
Thank you.
Yeah, how did it even like feel? I mean, we'll get back to back to where we started, but how did it feel going from where you were just talking about being this band pulling people together and Facebook and college and high school and all, to being in? I mean, that's huge. That's not Talia Hall's not a joke.
I know. That's where we're like, all right, finally, now we're not a joke.
You guys never been a joke, and well. When you had that one weed band name. But
I know, it's kind of crazy. It's like these are the things you work really hard for, and you always like hope to get to that point. And then because time, usually like it's so gradual. I'll be honest, you get to the point of Talia Hall and you're almost like, all right, like, yes, now it's on, you're already ready to level up to the next thing now. But I think it's a really important also thing to always take a moment. We tried to do this the other night, but just be like, all right, like, remember there was a time where doing this was crazy, and that, like it was so, it would have been so hard to fathom to be like, headlining Talia Hall. So, but it was, it's amazing. And the Talia Hall folks, just to focus on them for a second, they are like top shelf.
They are.
They run a venue the way it's supposed to be done. They're so good to their artists. Even for being such a, they're a massive venue that like gets all these. Pretty much all my favorite shows I've ever seen of like the huge people on it like have rolled through Talia. So it's crazy to go do that. But they not only get all these like, massive celebrity like bands going in there, but then they also like know what it's like for instance, for our band, they know what it's still like to take the chance on the local band and like to give them the platform, to give them the space. And I think that's what makes Talia so cool. Is it's like, yes, you'll get to go see the most famous favorite band of yours there, but then you're also going to be able to see like the up and coming emerging acts coming out of your home city there too. And I think that's a testament to like the best venues will always still provide that rather than just like, the J Beebs of the world rolling through. So,
well, I guess that's a good segue because speaking of like an emerging band that, like your band right now, let's take that back to the start of it, right? When I met you guys were just Hollyy, and you were working on things, and you were at the time working a corporate job as well, right?
Heck yeah.
And then you recently now went music full time. When did that take place?
Yeah. It's becoming less and less recent, and honestly, this is so funny. Last night I had a dream about like going back to corporate America. and I'm going to be so honest with you, it wasn't a nightmare. I was just like, and I think the reason why I say that is now I've been doing this for almost 2 years of like full-time music, and it is like everything that, you want to do. However, and I vented to you about this many times too. It's like, and you own your own business. Like, what this is absolutely like is like, you don't have a template. You don't have a blueprint. You don't know necessarily how much money you're going to make at the end of the month. You have to find your own healthcare. You have to like go do all the things. And that is, and just like being so on the, like you figure it out, but like, the stress of it all sometimes makes you, I think it makes you dream of those days where you didn't have to do all that. And you're like, oh, I get paid every 2 weeks and it's comfortable and whatever. I get healthcare. So, but yeah, I used to work a corporate job, and I worked there with a bunch of friends. It was silly. And it was actually, I can't talk trash about that job. They were very supportive of the band too. And not only in the way where they like, they wanted it to succeed in, I think, a relatively real way, but they were pretty accommodating to the schedule, and they would even show up to shows, and
Oh.
it was a whole thing. So shout out to them. But
So now that you stopped doing the corporate job, they just don't come to shows.
yeah, there's actually, well, that's the thing. There's a few that still are in it, and that's how you know. It's like, all right, you weren't just there for the brief moment in time. Like,
Oh, that's cool.
but God, I'm also, I think we all dream of the day we get to like storm out of our corporate job, and it wasn't as dramatic as that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was pretty happy to leave that place.
Yeah, no, it's crazy because you're almost balancing two businesses. And do you have any managers or anybody sorting things out for you currently? Because I know when I met you, until, I've known you as just a band that you've kind of done a lot of the work with your band and you guys making the calls and all that. Like,
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, what is the situation now and what is that reality like to be the one in a band having to sort all that out while doing all that, while
Totally.
doing the mixes or doing the recordings and sorting out the social media? What's like the reality of that?
Well, it's like, it's how much work you put into it is what you get out of it, first of all. But I would say, and this is an unfortunate part of it, at least for now, but especially when you're getting going, like you don't, why would you have a management team? That's silly. I have one for my project, but that's kind of, that's separate.
I know a couple of people that are like, oh, I could never do this unless and they'll just off cuff, like 2 weeks in, just hire like someone to do it all for me.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of a control freak in that way where like I don't mind and I think I have to do it, to be honest. And yeah, I mean it's part of the puzzle. I think it's like it's sort of fun to learn how to, to do it, and it takes a lot of trial and error. But it's kind of a blast cuz then your little victories become that much more like amplified at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I've sort of become the pseudo manager over the years for Hollyy, and I've learned a lot of the tricks of the trade in the biz, but also there's plenty more to learn. And then just to
learning in itself is a whole curve too. You're like, oh, I just learned it. It's like, no, that also it's time.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's like 80-20 even. It's like 80% business, 20% music, and which
You wish it would be the other way around, 80% music.
Well, for
20.
sure, but that's like I think you're just like, all right, one day it's gonna flip, and hopefully that's true. But there's so much. I think that's maybe the one lesson I've truly learned over the years is like if you really want to start doing things like growing your band, it's gonna take an unfortunate amount of behind the scenes work as opposed to like you're not up on the stage work.
Right.
It takes so much behind the scenes to get up on that stage. And so it's just a lot of sacrificing your time for that and like investing into it and basically being your own. You have to be your own manager. You have to be in your own booking team. You have to be your own press release. You have to be your own like social media, like your social media strategist and content manager and all that. And then at the end of the day, you still got to write the songs, put them out effectively. Like, it's a whole thing. You got to figure out tours. You got to figure out merch. You got to figure out if you can break even, let alone make money.
You're still spearheading that all and doing all the work at the end of it, or do you have any managers or any other parties involved with Hollyy to this day that maybe I don't know about or know about?
For Hollyy, it's I mean we've learned what we're good at as between like at least the four of us, and but yeah, I mean I love to take on a lot of that stuff because I think it's gonna be a good lesson in the long run. But outside of that, for my project, so this is separate of Hollyy, but in March of 2024, I played a showcase for a label that flew into town for a set of songs that I had been recording and then got signed by that label a couple months down the road. And through that and through this project, I have a team behind me, which is interesting because like I have a great team behind me. I have managers, I have like 2 record labels, I guess, and within record labels, you have people who help you with all your uploads, and a couple like I won't even say there's like people who help you with your social media, but like they are in theory there.
Okay,
they're there to like at least hear you vent about it or something. Like, I don't know. But and then they help me put out projects in a more like in the way that I want to put projects out. But I think what's interesting is I have like a team, And then I have Holly, and we are our own team. And Holly in the last year has really like shot up into a way where I think we're starting to explore, management teams and tour agencies and things like that.
Oh, okay.
And so it's just interesting. Like and with my stuff, like I work very hard every day to try and up the level, But Holly is a little bit up there right now, and we've been around longer for sure. But like it's interesting to have like a whole team behind you for a project that's like still trying to get off the ground, and then it's interesting to have a project that's like off the ground, running, doing big things, and it's just you, And
Right. And yeah, this is like it's full time. So yeah, and I also see you kind of like going a lot of different places. You're like flying places and recording stuff or whatever. I mean, you've been, and that's been purely for Tanner Dane on top of all of what you were just talking about with Holly. So it's quite like you said, you're kind of bouncing off the walls at all times.
Totally. I think my least favorite thing in life is not being busy. So like, and that comes with an unhealthiness to it too. So it's like, I know I got to chill on that a little bit, but yeah, I love to like bounce around and always like, I even like for the rest of the day, like I have to be doing, there's like 3 other things that I've sort of like overbooked myself for, but I love it. So, and you have to, I mean, like, especially when you start doing things on your own and like, it becomes your full-time thing or whatever. It's like, what else you're the only person advocating these.
And I think one of the most important things that you and I both can agree on here is like meeting people in this industry is like of its utmost importance. Like even if that time off is like not necessarily like crunching numbers or booking something, like even just simply meeting a handful of people in one day does a lot more movement than you would, I guess, on the outside think it does. Maybe as it might just seem like, hey, I'm Tanner. Hey, I'm Max. It's like, oh, what? But it's like you might not know that person that you met in that instance is like that guy that's gonna call you next week and be like, hey, so the opening slot at Metro, you want it? And it's like, oh, that was you.
Totally.
And that kind of, I think people forget about
key.
that.
I will never forget about that. I think that's a great point. Like, I don't know if it's necessarily panned out in some crazy way, but I can tell you that for both projects, like the most important things that have shifted in us have absolutely been in-person meetings and just like it's very organic. That part has not gone away. The age of devices and being like, addicted to your phones and just sending off a million messages and like DMs and emails and all that and thinking that like online rules the world. While that is true, for us, most of our best meetups and things that have happened for us have come from physically meeting people.
I agree. And I think going off of that too. I mean, since I first met you, I mean, we'll dive into the social media thing because you mentioned just a little bit ago that the band's been Holly's been on kind of a up and up lately, and I think there's a lot of things involved with that for sure. I think a lot of your hard work's paying off first and foremost. And I think you're doing the right things. But also another part that I've seen since I've known Tanner is like social media has been quite a journey. Let's put it that way. Yeah. You and I've sat down, made content of all sorts. We've sat there and cracked through edits, and the big question us two has always been like, what is the thing that works on TikTok? What's gonna crack it? And I think one of the funnier things, and I think there was that one time. This is at least the first instance that I remember the algorithm cracking. You came over to me one day and you said, "Hey Max, here." You bring clips over to me on your phone and say, "What can we do with this? Let's make something of this." And there was one day where I saw you show me this video of, I think a girl or someone handed you a shirt, and then the back of it was signing it. I go, take that little moment where you're signing that thing and whatever, throw that on TikTok, see what happens. I think it was like the day later, 2 days later, you go, hey, look at it on TikTok. And the thing was at like 300,000 or 400,000 views, and I was like, what?
Yeah, that was nuts. There's so many gripes about like the last 6 years of figuring out, content game, but it's
breaking the 300 jail on TikTok.
Breaking 300 jail. We're not unique in that. That's the only thing that, it's like, what do we have to complain about? There's a million other people complaining about the same thing. So it's nice to like, when you figure out a couple videos here and there, it's just like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And then you get put into TikTok jail for the next month, and then you get out some way somehow.
I have this conspiracy, and I'll never let go of I'm not a conspiracy kind of person, but this is the one conspiracy that I'll always chew on is like, I have this feeling deep down inside that TikTok wants to like threaten artists with like 300 views or like, and sometimes on a good day like 410 or like 415,
Yep.
and then you get like a little bit of like serotonin, and you're like, maybe that was right, and you go back and they're like 300, and then you're kind of like, and it's like 0 comments, and then you're like, did someone see that? Did they not? And then all of a sudden some little comments trickle in. But I think the reason I bring this up is because, like I said, I've seen this evolution, and I think you've now reached a point on TikTok where there are people watching you guys, and you're getting a lot of engagement and people. So I want to talk to you a little bit about like what that shift was like. I mean, when is your first recollection of that kind of like shift happening, if you will, or what is your kind of like overall feeling on social media helping your band?
Yeah. It was pretty easy, or I shouldn't say easy.
It was
easy,
light work.
It's easy to recount when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And that was for all the years that we've been a band, and I had started like for the last year before. I'll just back it up to March of 2024 again when I like played the showcase, and my assignment from that point forward with like this record label I'm on is just like basically just like, you're a content creator now, like go do it, like go make content. I wasn't given any direction. I was just like, they were just like, go figure it out, go find the way. And so from then on forward, that was my job. And
that's a rough job.
Oh my God,
go figure it out.
I suck
do it.
and still kind of do suck at it, but like, but like that, yeah. So like I knew the assignment, but it was just like go figure it out. And so I had been struggling to figure it out for a very long time, and like. I had a couple videos here and there that might have done like okay, but for the most part, it's just like it's a interesting landscape TikTok because like you open your phone, you see the artist doing the same thing you're doing, and they just post sometimes like they post 3 photos, and it's like really easy prompts, but like they get crazy numbers and they run it up, and you're like, why can't this work? So for the top of the year last year, so almost right around this time of year, 1 year ago. Maybe it was slightly after January 1st, but it was our first rehearsal as a band that year. And I remember just like coming in and I was like, all right, one thing we've never done, and it's pretty silly at this point, is like we haven't leaned into this whole thing that, we have this app that we all have access to every day of our lives, and we're like not sitting in frame with ourselves as a band. We're not playing the hook of a song. That was like the message I just wanted to pound to the dudes, was like, let's just play 20 seconds of a hook.
Mm-hmm.
Let's all get in frame. Let's make it like the lights are okay at least, and the sound is good, and that's it. And it was like, it's this really pretty dumbed down version of a song, or like of content in general, but the even dumber thing I would say is we'd never even tried it before then, And so like this time last year was the first time we were having these very real, like, let's lean into it. Like, let's just play the damn hook over and over, and it worked instantly. And like I truly, like, the first video we made was I think it was Brenton Wood.
Okay.
Give me a little sign, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, that one popped, and it like went to, well, I don't really know what it was at, but it was like a lot. It was like the thing that started it.
A few 100,000 or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere in that world. And then that just led to like, that was the first video where overnight our Spotify kind of shot up.
Oh, really?
And like it all sort of just trickled. It was like Instagram started to trickle up. We were playing these residency sets. Like it was a little bit of my stuff. It was a little bit of Hollyy stuff. And we were at a local digestif bar in Logan Square on a literal Monday night, which in like the dead of winter. And because of our TikTok, people like it overflowed the spot. It was nuts. And it was
That's
just
crazy.
like. And so we started to see the power of what TikTok could do. And from then it was just we didn't stop. And it was like, we would get into a rehearsal space and we record 10 to 15 like 20-second snippets of a song.
Uh-huh.
And I would just edit those out for the week, and I put out 15 seconds here, 10 seconds here. And we grew, and our TikTok is not crazy, but like we grew from like a 2,000 follower TikTok to like we're like a little under 50K now.
I
and it's
know.
just like, that's the thing. That's the only
influencer band.
Yeah.
You went from the band to the influencer pipeline.
Yeah.
You did the job. Sure. You completed the job they told you to get out and do, except for Hollyy.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's the funny thing. So, like, my TikToks, my socials have been an interesting still puzzle. Like, I feel this time last year, I cracked a little bit of a code maybe for Hollyy. Mine is still in perpetual, like, what's going on? But they've grown too. And I think, like, that's my goal this year is, like, and it's not like I haven't stopped for my own stuff, but whatever.
Yeah, you're still on the grind. And I think, well, okay, what the interesting thing to me, too, is kind of what you already said, but I've kind of watched some of it play out as well, is that you guys, especially with Hollyy, over the last year, I mean, you and I talked about this, like, there's been a very, and even as you just mentioned, like a very distinct growth with Hollyy. And I think seeing what social media has done for you guys and what you've turned it into, kind of like you've been doing like a lot of the play on your patio kind of things, or play in your backyard thing. And I don't really actually know personally too much about that. I kind of watched it from behind the scenes. And yeah, you grew a following with Hollyy. And then was that your idea that was like, hey, let's play in your backyard? Or I guess was there something that like inspired that? Or what was that born? Was that the All-American Rejects thing that potentially made you think about that? Or what?
Yeah, I had a little bit to do with just what was happening at the time. And like the band that ended up back in, at first it was like it was me and it was my tunes. But the band that was backing me up was Hollyy. And so that over the course of time kind of became more of a, I mean, it was a nice symbiotic relationship, but it became definitely more of a Hollyy thing. It was great to see it kind of like work for both, though, because that was all I was trying to do is like, how do I make this, what is that word? Synchronicity
or something. I don't know. How do you say
that word? How do I
make
this relationship between both of my projects like flow perfectly? And that was the first thing that really did it. So I had a project that I was out in LA for what was supposed to be the entire month of June and July. And that went away after June. And so then I basically felt like my entire summer, when I should have been booking, at least 12 shows in the month of July, if not more, it all went away overnight. And I was like feeling pretty defeated. I was talking with one of my managers about it, and we were discussing how like, well, if you're behind in the game, like all you got to do is not worry about playing Shubas tomorrow night, opening up for some huge act that's rolling through town. Like take the tunes to the people of the city of Chicago that like might already know you or want to hear you. And so, yeah, that's when I remember I met up with you and we were like created this edit that like kind of mimicked the All-American Rejects idea of playing DIY spaces in your backyard and cultivating this thing that brought the music to the people.
Yeah, that was a fun edit to make.
Yeah. And that edit like helped trigger like what happened, which was like then we got in the backyard, we literally played a tune, said like, hey Chicago, where am I coming next, like I want to play in your backyard, and it blew up. It literally like that was great, because like then we just we played just under 20 backyards from like August through September, and it's still to this day is trickling in things, like not necessarily backyard shows, but people are like, it's like this little mini funny cash cow of like, hey, can you play like we're having a holiday party, like so sorry, I know this is last minute, but if you could play for an hour, it's like $2,000, okay? And we're just like, oh yeah, so it's still bringing these like really positive after effects of of putting that out. But that was so fun. And we met so many really cool people. We saw so many cool yards around the city. Really fun. I think it takes a fun group of people in general to like take the idea of a random stranger coming into their backyard with live music.
Yeah.
Because like we could potentially ruin their whole party or vibe, but they trusted us, and we met a lot of really great people that way. And then they started coming out to my shows. They started coming out to Hollyy shows. The idea worked. It was like, how do we make an organic, thing in the backyard, and instead of just having the worry always be about these club shows that people have to pay money for. And boom. And so now like next summer I'm going to keep doing that as much as possible, and I'm sure we'll get to talk about the lake, but like, yeah. Well,
I was gonna bring that up. Yeah, I think I think that's really cool, because I think nowadays it's a lot about like how you can separate yourself, and I think there's a couple ways to go about that, right? There's like, can I do this on social media? Can I do that? But then there's also like, I think the thing that gets forgotten is like, what can you do in person? What can really separate? And nowadays, I feel like everyone just needs something to do. You talk to someone, they're like, I need this, like, and it's one thing to see a little flyer and there's 400 people going to that event and 300 going to this, and it's like, oh, well, I could go. But when you see something very like specific and unique and something like that, which to me, that thing now for Hollyy has been what you guys started over the summer, which was that whole lake thing. You're playing in front of AIDS Garden against the lake. You were playing a couple other spots, and that was I think that is something that I actually text my own friends and like people. I'm like, my friend's band's playing this really cool thing on the lake. Like, come on out, come hang. And I've met like a handful of new friends too, just like going to that thing. So it's been a absolutely fun experience from an outsider. But tell me about like your whole experience with it and how that got going.
Yeah. That was, well, I think you had mentioned something where it's like you have to find a way to differentiate yourself. And that is unfortunately true. And for this, I mean, it's a little bit of luck and it's a little bit of like, you just got to go do it, And so we had talked for years. Holly's a busking band through and through. Like when we went down and played South by Southwest years ago, like we found that the biggest crowds we drew weren't from our showcases down there. It was from hitting the streets and like doing busking. And we love it. And I think it's part of like a lot of bands think they're above that. And that's silly. Because like, yeah, I mean, there's hokey buskers for sure, but like also like that's pretty punk rock. Like punk rock's all about like creating your own space. Mm-hmm. And so I think, we have always loved to do that. And then in the summer, right around the time when I was like, I lost this opportunity to be out in LA all summer and I was like scrambling to find ideas. I remember I was just like posted on my own TikTok and I was just like, hey, like I'm going to be hitting Montrose Beach, whatever. It was on Tuesday night, 6:00, like roll out. And then that post blew up,
On Tanner Dane.
Yeah. And so, with that, I was like, all right, so, I'm going to go out and I don't necessarily know, how long I'm going to play, what all the songs I'm going to play. But like, and at the time I was just with all of my Hollyy boys. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, hey, like, could we go out to the lake? Could we, go play some stuff? Like, I'll either teach you some of these tunes, we'll play our tunes, we'll play cover tunes. Like, let's just go curate a vibe, basically.
Yeah.
And it started, and it was nuts. And that night was pretty funny because it was raining all day, like thunderstorm. Like, it was pouring. We had people messaging like crazy, like, hey, are we still on? Like, hey, like, let me know when the rescheduled date is. Or like, hey, please keep this on tonight because it sounds like it's going to clear up by 6. And it was truly a game time decision. It did end up being a beautiful night, and as we know, sometimes when it storms, like it leads for the most cool sunsets too.
Yeah, it does.
But like also, I realized in retrospect, I didn't tell anyone where at Montrose Beach I was going to be, and that's a big beach, and so like I also like left a lot of people on, just like I had so many messages being like, so where are you? Like, can you give us some information? Luckily, we had a lot of people find us, and then the mic broke, and so like that first, it was like truly such a first trial run. We probably had about 100 people just come out.
That's significant, even 100.
Totally. So like enough to make you feel bad about like, shoot, we really should have been more prepared. I really should have had a working microphone.
Yeah.
Like, I really should have told people where exactly to come. But that, like, I think we all caught the bug that night. We were just like, all right, so this is a thing. Like, let's make it better. Let's do it again. So like 2 weeks later, a couple more posts, like we figure out like, okay, Belmont rocks, which is the AIDS Garden. This would be a better place to play. So, it's less sand, easier seating, like more like just a concrete space that people can easily get to.
No, if I cut you off real quickly, is there any restrictions with that? Was there any like the city of Chicago was like, oh, you can't do that, or someone like, hey, you guys gotta get out of here? I know there's a lot of that in Chicago.
Screw that. We never got a busker's permit, so like I don't know. We
just playing. It seemed to be a vibe.
Totally, yeah. I think that like not against it, but yeah. I mean, there's certain things where you're just like, hey, if you're gonna kick us out for playing music to people at sunset at the lake, like great, because that's what you need to be doing. Like, so I don't know. It wasn't. Yeah, we never worried about that.
Okay.
And we also didn't expect it to become what it did. So like, so the first time we played at Belmont, or like at the Rocks was a lot more people came. Maybe like 400 this time.
Oh my god.
And then.
Oh my god.
And then.
What is that? Now give people kind of a comparison of 400. Like, what would you size that up to? Is that like an empty bottle filled room? Is that?
Yeah, 400 would be like. Yeah, shoot, it's close to the empty bottle. Empty bottle's like 350. Lincoln Hall's 500. So it's like somewhere between a filled space like that. But you're so spread out at the lake that it's like it honestly doesn't seem like that many people. And people are just like they're coming in, they're coming out, they're approaching from the back of like the grass area. There's
and
people,
just strollers,
bikes, runners. You got people literally like floating in tubes in the lake. You have boats coming up. The boats ended up being the craziest part. But so that was number 2. Clearly, we're making this sort of a thing, realizing that like people love a Tuesday or a Thursday night at the lake, like right after work. It's a great thing to like meet up after a work function or like just
any
decompress after work,
thing,
right?
Yeah,
like,
decompress. Yeah.
So now the third time we do it, that was when it really became like it started to become a thing, and this time we probably pulled like 800 to 1,000 people. And they were so spread out on both sides, and we were like, wow, like we were bringing like 2 speakers at the time, one for us as a monitor, one for the, so like clearly, like I don't know how they're hearing anything on the side. But, and then from there we had people reaching out to us like, hey, I'm the Chicago Boat Club or whatever, and I want to like synchronize the background boats next time you play. Let us know. And we had like food people hitting us up to come out and sell. We had like just like all these like organizations hitting us up to just come be about it. We had bands start to hit us up and be like, hey, like we'd love to open up for you at the lake. And then the next time we did it was truly, that was a crazy time. And I think you were there that night, but like that was such a stressful day. We aren't that smart as a band. Like we do these things and then we don't realize what we're creating. And so we just like, oftentimes we drop the ball, to be honest. And so we were just in like our little like annoying band fight. Like I think people like had a rough day at work and we're just like slow to get to the beach and no one's in a rush and no one's taking it seriously. And we are literally sitting in our own traffic jam that we caused getting to the beach. And we're like so late. We're running like half an hour late. We're getting calls from all our friends like, hey, like where are you? Like there's like probably like 2,000 people here right now. Like you need to get here. And we're just like, yeah, it was a whole thing. But that night was so fun. It was so crazy. It was awesome to see this thing created at the lake.
Yeah, how many people do you think were there? Like 1,200 or?
Well, we put like we had this photo that our friend took behind us, and it was like this huge pano, and we just like ran it through some sort of AI bullshit.
No way.
It was like, and it counted like 1,500 in the photo. So we're going off of that. But that's also saying like there's people who come in and come out the whole time. So who knows? Maybe it was like 1,000 more than that. Maybe it wasn't even that much. Like, but yeah, 1,500 was like the crowd that was captured in that one photo alone. So,
wow. Yeah. I think the thing that's really cool about that, and I know this might sound a little lame or whatever, but I think having you guys play there, it's not like there's anything stopping people being like, sir, let me collect $5 before you come over here, or like, stop, $10 or whatever. There's none of that. It's just like people are just going about their thing and they get to come enjoy the music as they please. And I think I even have friends that don't even know what Talia Hall is. I have friends that have never heard of Shuba's a day in their life. You tell them about Empty Bottle and they're like, is it like that bar I go to? Like, they don't really know.
Yeah.
And so I think having a place that the average person knows about, too, and that anybody can just encounter is another set of people that wouldn't otherwise maybe perhaps go to a show, rather just, like, encounter it and go, wait, oh, shoot, this band's really good. And, like, start, listening to you guys. Totally. I think you guys have done, like, a good job of, like, kind of doing that, putting that whole thing together. I mean, yeah, it's just... it is crazy. It's just crazy watching it. And you've got, all sorts of new connections from it. Mm-hmm. You've got new, people like you just said that you got the boat clubs hitting you up.
Yeah.
Did that show, you also got to play on the lake. Was another cool thing you got to do for Tanner Dane.
Oh, the river.
The river.
Yeah.
Yeah. You started doing the river show.
That was a very aquatic summer.
Yeah.
That was a fun show, too.
The band and Tanner only play on the water.
Yeah. I know. That one, I love Ben, is it Ben?
I think that's his name.
Ben is his real name. He goes by Lawrence on. Like,
there it is.
but,
there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, he created quite a thing over there. And also famously doesn't have a permit, which is kind of funny. But yeah, we played that show. That show blew up. Like the River shows that he's doing, like to the extent where I'm just like, all right, I wonder. It's like all good things like have a cap, right? Like I'm thinking about next summer. I'm like, are these even going to be that highly sought after? But they probably will because it's such a unique spot. We played it on a day where it thunderstormed as well, which was too bad because like they ended up putting up a tent on the on the little circle that's floating out in the river there, and that just kind of like crushed the content idea of it all because we were buried, like our faces were buried in like drawstrings that were keeping the tent down and stuff. So that was too bad. But yeah, that was a really fun show, and it's such a cool. Speaks to like how people are just looking for like constant creativity in spaces that they get to go listen to music at and enjoy, and also yes, like what a perfect summer to try and amplify the whole DIY scene because let's be real, like money's tight, economy blows, and yeah, I mean, just like it's also just a good summer, separate of even the economy, of just bringing some folks together. It's been a kind of shitey year when it comes to that. So it was a cool thing to contribute to, just like creating a cool space, being a part of a great space with a great community.
And I think to me, personally, I think the DIY scene is really important. That's what I came up in. I was looking back at my old iPhone a couple days ago, and I found photos from 2016, 2017, where I was getting invited to like literally people's backyard shows. There was garages I was in. This was maybe around the time that I even met like Beach Bunny back then. I met that band Dead.
Yeah.
I met them back then. I was like one of their first couple listeners on Spotify.
Cool.
And it all having this kind of like rebirth, if you will, sort of this whole DIY scene feels very like full circle, and it's really cool to see you get to be a part of it and get to hear your music out and get other people hearing your stuff.
Heck yeah, thank you.
And in a little bit, not right now, but in a bit, we'll get you playing some Tanner Dane, show them what it was like, in case anyone didn't get to catch it, didn't get to hear it. You get to hear a little bit of Tanner Dane. I guess music-wise, so you've been spending a lot of time recording, obviously. What's on the docket right now with Hollyy and Tanner Dane? What's out there right now?
Yeah. Well, I put out 2 EPs this year. So one was in March, and then the last one I just put out was on Halloween. And so, one was a 5-track, one was a 4-track. Worked with all kinds of people on it. Did a lot of it myself, which was a cool like push yourself kind of project. And it's great to have them out. And I got plenty more on the way. I'm trying to really like put out almost a release a month this year. Every month, new release, on top of possible, other like larger projects, like let's say it culminates into an EP, a record, whatever. But and Hollyy, we have been promising people for years that we were going to be putting out an album. I think people ended up almost giving up on us when it came to that. But yes, we finally dropped our album, and it came out on 12/12. So
let's go.
That was so fun to go celebrate that at Talia the other week. And yeah, we have that on vinyl. I have all my stuff on vinyl. We have the Hollyy stuff on vinyl. Shout out to Easy Does Records, which is really helping us step up our vinyl game these days.
The merch game was looking pretty good the other night too. I had to cop a shirt.
So great to finally get, because when you're an indie band, like your merch it's this weird catch-22 because it's your cash cow, but it's also like it is like a $1,200 at least investment every time you have to like re-up. And so it's a lot. When you do it, though, it feels so good. It feels so good to like totally restock your merch table with shirts, with hats, with posters, with bags, with vinyl, with everything. So that was We sold most of it out too, which is so great. So like it puts us back in the position of like restocking our merch now, which we're not that great at, but yeah, it was great, dude.
I was wearing that shirt all day yesterday.
All right.
Cool looking shirt. Yeah, I really dig it. So you guys, you have your own Tanner Dane merch. yet?
I've had hats and vinyl for
Mm-hmm.
most of the year. And it's funny. I have like all these really talented friends that have put together like some great T-shirt designs for me, and
Uh-huh.
I've just been sort of like waiting to pull the trigger on that again large investment of money that goes into
Yeah.
purchasing whatever. You have to like get 80 at a time kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
You're all on your own.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean next year we kind of have a good plan in place for a lot of shows coming up and getting me some good merch going. So
what's on the docket? I guess show wise for both Holly and Tanner and Tanner Dane.
yeah, well between the two of us we'll have a pretty busy months of January and February to start the year. So we just dropped this album with Holly, so we have some serious Midwest touring to do.
Okay.
Everyone's favorite thing to do in the snowy Midwest in
Yeah.
January and
Drive through it.
February. Just drive back roads and highways across all these states. And then mixed in with like my own. I'll be doing like a lot of touring on my own with between like literal solo shows of like singer-songwriter nights in the rounds, as well as some full band stuff coming up. So we are going to be announcing all of that very soon. But
Okay.
for anyone listening,
Yeah. How do they follow it? How do they follow it and find it?
yeah, well, we are sort of our calendar, if you will, is always going to be Instagram based, but I post so much on TikTok too. But yeah, Tanner Dane Music for everything, Hollyy.band for everything else in the world of Holly. And yeah, we'll have a January 8th show in Madison for Holly. We're going to have a January 24th show in Milwaukee for Holly. And we're going to have our hometown Chicago, like technically album show at Park West in January 30th. And then
Oh wow.
I'll be sort of cruising around a bunch of Midwest states in between that for a bunch of in the round nights. Ohio, Iowa, Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Boy.
Oh my gosh.
Let's go, baby.
Damn. You got you gonna work your way up to a tour outside of the country as well eventually?
So, yes. Outside of the country. I put that together as like outside of the Midwest.
Oh, well, outside the Midwest too, I should ask.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, it's going to be a pretty strong touring year. There's like so much going on in the background right now. It's like you fill in 2 cities, but then you can't hear back from the other 8 cities you've heard from. So it's like, where are we going? But that's why sometimes tour agencies do help. But
Yeah.
we'll be hitting like all over the like East Coast, a little bit of the South. I think come early summer or even in the spring. And yeah, when it comes to outside the U.S., man, obviously that's every musician's dream. Getting there is the issue. It's like how do I do this? Where do we do this? Why do we do this? So filling that in will be the questions. But yeah, we'd love to, man. And I think a good first stop would even be. We have so many Canadian friends, like truly, like we have a weirdly strong Toronto base. So I think getting up there is a great start to.
I think I'm going to make my own.
International.
I mean, when you guys do that, let me know. I drove out to Toronto last year. And I like making that drive. I got a nice little pit stop in Detroit I can go to.
No way.
Boom, shoot right up. Yeah.
Let's do it.
It's a fun little drive. So if you guys go out there, I'm going to come slide out,
That'd
come
be
check it
amazing.
out.
Cool.
Well, yeah, with that said, I guess what I'll do at the end here is I'll have you play. You wanted to play a single of yours off of Tanner Dane.
Yeah.
And before you do that, is there any other shout outs or any other things you want to mention that we didn't go over yet that you'd like to talk about?
I don't think so.
Is there any advice you'd give any like upcoming musicians that are, that are starting out? What is your elevator pitch? You got to tell someone something in 15 seconds and they're getting out that elevator.
Yeah.
What are you telling them?
My musician elevator pitch. Well, I think the best thing that I've kept in mind and maybe have learned, and take that with a grain of salt because there's always more. But it's like the work that you put in is what you get out of this, like any business. And so like work, it never stops and it won't stop. So understanding that from the get-go is like very important, and managing all the personalities if you play in a band is very important because it's a personality-based business. But on top of that, never take yourself so seriously because my God, like that is where it all can just unravel, and it doesn't need to, because you get to do a really fun thing, which is play music, write songs, play shows, experience like the magic and energy of that with people all over, and then you get to do it with your friends, and that's nuts at the end of the day. And you get to meet new incredible friends. You get to meet like some of your favorite musicians that you've ever listened to. So like, I think working hard at it, but like also remembering your sense of humor at the end of the day is everything.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's really solid advice. Well, yeah, you ready to
And wear hats like this?
Yeah, I'm actually
forgot I was wearing this.
I wasn't planning on wearing a hat today, but I looked at myself in the mirror and I saw that I still had this cut on my forehead.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, that'll be kind of prevalent on camera. I think it's like right here. Look at that.
Oh yeah.
Nailed myself on a light switch the other
Whoa.
day. But enough of my injuries. Let's hear what are we going to play here?
I'm gonna do a song called Porto Heartbreak.
And before, I'm going to make you do the thing that you don't always do, but you do every now and then, is tell us what Porto Heartbreak is about.
One of the first songs that I'd ever honestly written for my project, and it was coming out of I don't know if you've ever been to the beautiful country of Portugal before. Highly recommend if you get the opportunity to do so. But I was there with a former partner of mine, and we were kind of going through what were the roughest and ended up being sort of the roughest parts of our relationship. And so we it was sort of this weird dichotomy of being like in a beautiful country, experiencing beautiful travel, beautiful people, but like in the worst part of your own relationship. And it was a rough trip. And so we ended up splitting up, essentially. And one of the nights that we sort of, because we'd all end up at the same hotel together since we're traveling together, but like we'd spend time away while we're like sorting through what was ultimately our breakup. And I was outside of a hot dog stand in Porto, and that was like one of the interesting cultural parts of this place, where it was like things that were open late were like some clubs, and then you have like these hot dog stands in the middle of the boulevard. And I was just like out there like feeling all the feels, and like there's a couple things available to you. There's like coffee, wine, beer, tea, and hot dogs. And it was like 2 a.m, and I was being sad boy, and I was like, the first time in my life I'd ever scribbled down analog lyrics on a piece of like a napkin. And I was just thinking about what I was going through, and I realized I'm going through a heartbreak in Porto. And this is what happens when you're outside of a hot dog stand.
All right, let's hear it.
You were mine all through winter, you were light in a storm. As your days all grow shorter, I just loved you more. Do we act like we did then? Will our smiles still glow? When I look in your eyes, now I know that they won't. Take me to sunshine, hold me in your month of May. Will your arms always fit me like a promise you would say? There's beauty and heartbreak on a springtime afternoon. 'Cause if I never met you, that heart would have become June. Still awake and I wept on a bed where we lay. Took a walk through the park by myself while you stayed. Did I miss all the signs from the silence in you? Could have stopped what was growing, it already bloomed. Take me to sunshine, hold me in your month of May. Will your arms always fit me like a promise you would stay? There's beauty and heartbreak on a springtime afternoon, yeah. 'Cause if I never met you, that heart would have become June. already gone. Heartbreak like a flower on an autumn afternoon. Couldn't stop what was growing, it already bloomed. Heartbreak like a flower on an autumn afternoon. You were mine all through winter, another cold dark days away. And the sun's back to shining, it's a shadow I miss. While the leaves turn to green and the birds build a home. With the songs in the morning, I'm left alone. Yeah. Take me to sunshine, hold me in your mother, man. There's no place for a child here, even if it means you'll stay. There's beauty and heartbreak on an autumn afternoon. 'Cause if I never met you, if I never met you, if I never met you, yeah, that heart would have become joy.
I broke
Wow.
my rule. You know, I usually don't sing before 2 p.m. as I told you.
Before 2. Wow, we're breaking the rule. We're going 10 minutes early here. Woo, nice. What's where can they find that one?
Everywhere you choose to stream music these days. I used to, I know you have to say wherever you choose to stream music now. So wherever that is, it's available. But yeah, I put that one out in March, and I love playing it live.
Yeah. What's real quickly, you said there was a story with that song and the guitar or something like that you're playing on?
The guitar, yes. So
Yeah.
if you notice, I have been looking for a new acoustic for a while, just because I play so many solo shows now, and so I have a beater like in my room that is just not ready for the stage, never will be. But my uncle sent me this listing on eBay, and he was breaking down all the parts of it, and it is pretty unbelievable what this guitar is. So it's a K, and it is a vintage K made in 1950 in Chicago, most likely in Logan Square. So it's just this full circle moment of like, wait, that's where I live. And it's crazy how it was like so cheap. It's incredible parts. Like it has been created into like some really cool additional parts that have been modded onto this. It sounds great. It's really fun to plug in, get a really cool tone. And it was just one of those guitars where you pick up and you play. And I know I wasn't like in a store or anything, and so I didn't have a chance to do that until I had already ordered it from eBay.
Mm-hmm.
But like the first time that I just like played this guitar was one of those. It was like when avatars, you like match tails.
Yeah.
Like that is where me and this guitar lie.
Oh, cool.
So, very
cool.
happy
And
for
and one last little question before I let you go here. So, what would you consider when I tell my friends like the kind of music that you're making? What do you consider this project right here? Is it kind of like an indie soul? Is that an appropriate title, or what is the vibe here?
Yeah, it's like it's taken indie rock, it's taken R&B, it's taken a love for old soul hits, and it's also just taking a lot of like alt and even folk. So, I think it's a mixture of everything that was just named, and then also whatever you hear on it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
That's where I draw a lot of my inspo from. So.
Yeah, you got a really, really nice sounding voice and a really cool project you're working on. And yeah, be sure to go on Spotify as well and check out not only Tanner Dane, check out Hollyy. And yeah, is there anything else you want to leave them with?
Thank you. We did it. We've tried to do this now for
I
years.
We've been working on edits. Tanner comes over to my house and we're like, all right, we'll do the podcast next Friday. And then we both were like, yes, I'm working next Friday. Or like, hey, let's try this. And it's been like a ping pong game for like 6 months or so. And the ping pong game is over.
It's finally over, which is ironic because like the first when you started, you were like, "Shoot, I'm not recording." So it almost got us again. We would have had to come back. 8 months later from now. And redo it. But yeah, so I'm everywhere
did
under
almost
Tanner
get us.
Dane. Holly's under everywhere. That's 2 Y's with Hollyy, by the way. And we'll be playing so many shows in 2026. We're amped. So here and far. But yeah.
You heard it here first, folks. All right. Well, thanks for anyone who made it this far in the podcast, who listened. And if you're watching on YouTube or other platforms, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe. If you're on Instagram, hit that follow button. If you're on TikTok, also hit that follow. You know the drill already. This has been Spotlight Podcast, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Hell yeah. Peace.